steps across the land, morning mercy in your hand. Wake the heart, open the eyes, feel the spirit start to rise. Wake up to the revival, let his love come down and fill. New day, new hope, new fire. Wake up to the revival. Gentle breeze through garden trees, whispers of a life set free. Come on home, the table's set. Jesus hasn't left us yet. Wake up to the revival, let his love come down and fill. New day, new hope, new fire. Wake up to the revival. No more sleeping through the call. He's still speaking after all. Country roads and open skies lead us straight to where he lies. Wake up to the revival, let his love come down and fill. New day, new hope, new fire. Wake up to the revival. Raise the banner, lift the praise. He's still moving in these days. Hearts on fire from shore to shore. Feel the spirit more and more. Revival, yeah, more revival. Revival.
How good and pleasant it is when brothers dwell together in unity. Good morning, fellow faithful. Today is Thursday, August the 27th. You're tuning into the Garden Project Radio right here on YouTube. Today, we're going to have a shorter one today. We're going to be relatively informal and relatively quick. We have some stuff that we're dealing with over here on the personal side of things, and so we got to make sure we're taking care of that. But before we get into today's show, we're going to start the morning off the way we always should, which is in prayer to our Father in heaven. So if you can safely do so wherever you're at, please close your eyes, bow your heads, and join your brothers and sisters across the nation in prayer this morning. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the Holy Spirit, forever. Amen. Amen. Good morning once again to everyone who is here with us today. We should have a good one today. It's not going to be too long, y'all. I could probably give you about an hour, and then we got to handle some stuff over here on Household 6 side. But regardless, thank you all for joining us today. We got Eric Ramon, first one in the chat today, coming from the wonderful state of Oklahoma, but he's just saying good morning for that first one today. God bless you. Thank you very much for being here with us today, Eric. We're going through here. Let me know where y'all are coming from today. If you don't mind, drop it down in the comment section for that real estate roll call. Let's have a chat real quick and see where everyone's coming from today. We got Indiana in the house for Miss Nanny's Take on the World. God bless you, ma'am. Thank you very much for joining us. We have Minneapolis, Minnesota for Mr. Steve, and he accidentally put a not in front of that, but we know where he's coming from today, and that's okay. All the problems are coming from Minneapolis. We've got Tanya Rossland, lovely Tanya Rossland, coming from Ohio this morning. God bless you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us. The cult leader herself from Lakeland, Florida. God bless you, ma'am. Thank you for being here with us today. New Jersey, and New Jersey for the two twins up here. We have Karen Grego and we have Joe Q6 66, living that American dream. Jane Facto from the wonderful Lakewood, Ohio, and Samia Douglas from Connecticut. God bless both of you ladies. Thank you for joining us today. Terry, how we feeling? How we living? You and your next door neighbor in Tennessee with Julia Haynes. God bless you both. Tinkerbell, also, I couldn't possibly forget you, ma'am. I know you're up there in Tennessee, New Jersey. God bless you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us. Central Florida for Sin Sin in the 90s as usual with the possibility of rain. We had a little storm go through yesterday. It was nice. It was nice. It was nice to be able to have a little bit of moisture in the air for the day. We got Latrice coming from the magical kingdom of Lithonia over in Georgia. God bless you. Thank you very much for joining us today, Latrice. Joyce's 95, 57, 99 degrees now, high of 110. She still won't tell us what it feels like, though. She won't tell us what it feels like because she knows she's wrong, and that's okay. We got back to Kentucky, Laura Nolan, 94, 47, the Bluegrass State. Thank you, ma'am. Keep reminding me about them if you don't mind. We got Jess Major in the house from Southwest Florida. God bless you. And then Northern Georgia in the house from Miss Jessie. And thank you very much for being here with us this morning, Jessie. And God bless both of you ladies. Chantel, thank you for joining us yesterday from the wonderful state of New York. My man, DJ Weston, 0097. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for joining us this morning. I hope that you are indeed blessed. Tiffany Ned, 9699, coming from Glen Burnie, Maryland this morning, along with Tam G from the Lone Star State of Texas. And last but most certainly not least, we have Queenie over here coming from the land of the long white cloud, Christchurch, New Zealand, on the mountain ranges, much like myself. I like that about you, Queenie. Absolutely do. Walnut and Walnut Cove. We have Debbie the Rock in here as well. Love the hair, by the way, Debbie. Meant to tell you that about the profile picture. Thank you all very much for being here today. I want to talk about it. We're just going to dive into it. Y'all know the guidelines. We're not going to be here as long as we normally do. So we're just going to get straight into it. I want to have an open conversation about this young lady, Lindsay, because today is going to be quite an interesting day. For those of you who have no idea who I am talking about, we're talking about a woman by the name of Lindsay Clancy. If you haven't heard about this case right now, she is currently on trial. She is on trial for the gruesome murder of her 3 children. And the question that has been on everyone's mind today and all right, so we're back with that. That was weird. Anyways, right, Lindsay Clancy, for those of you who don't know about this case at all whatsoever, let me know that I see Jessica moving, so we're good. If you don't know about this, she's on trial currently for murder of her 3 children. 3 very, very young children, by the way. That's something that really got a lot of people's attention whenever this first came out. Now, she strangled them to death and then jumped out of a second-story window, paralyzing herself for the rest of her life, unfortunately. And everyone has wondered, not only did she do it, there's some individuals coming out saying, no, she didn't actually do this. It stinks to high heaven. Her husband actually did it. Someone else actually did it. There's no way you would throw yourself out the window. People are going far, by the way, very far, trying to convince people that this woman is innocent. Okay. Then we have the individuals who are making this. This is the majority of it. Is it a mental health concern? Is this something that we should really dive in, something that we should really look into? And you got people coming from all out the woodworks on this one, just like we do with every single court case in the United States of America, where it's sensationalized, and we have people who are taking a side, and they are putting their entire identity behind which side they are when it comes to this. We have not seen individuals so hype about one side or the other since Twilight came out, and we didn't know if you were Team Edward or Team Jacob, and friendships were destroyed over it. It's the exact same energy when it comes to Lindsay Clancy, because for those individuals who are saying that this is not her fault, it's a mental health concern, she was on so many medications, and they're blaming absolutely everybody. It's the doctors, it's the husband, it's everybody except for Lindsay Clancy. Well, on the other side, you have individuals who are ready to lock her up and throw away the key. Put her away, it's murder, it never should have happened, and those individuals are trying to figure out how they live in the same country with each other, because there are marriages being destroyed because of this situation. Try not to sneeze. Woo. Thank you. Right, their marriages have been destroyed because of this situation. All kinds of them. There are people who've called off engagements. There's individuals who have left their families because typically a husband finds out that his wife is pro Lindsay Clancy and cannot be on board with it. And every once in a while, you have a wife who finds out her husband is against Lindsay Clancy and they're not with it as well. And so I want to kind of talk about this today because I'm going to dive into this one. I'm going to do a little bit of research and we're going to see just what life throws at us today and tomorrow to see if we can't get some more content put here in front of you all around this and other things. Thank you all very much for the blessings. I do appreciate that. So let me ask you first of all, right? We're not going to argue with each other in the comment section. We're not going to look at each other's answer and get really upset and start looking at people differently on this one. I just want to see where we're coming from. Give me a thumbs up if you're someone who says, yep, she did it. She needs to go to prison. No questions asked, directly to jail. Do not collect $200. Do not pass go. And give me a thumbs down if you're like, no, there might be something else to this. She may not deserve life. She may deserve a mental asylum or whatever it is that we're calling it. Maybe she's not the one that did it. But pretty much thumbs up if you think she should go away to life, and then thumbs down if you think it's anything different at all whatsoever that should happen to her. Pretty broad category, but I just want to see what we're rocking with today. And remember, the answer to the question here is: should she go away for life in prison? We'll talk about the other extenuating circumstances for sure, because I believe that there are some, and to ignore that would be a little bit disingenuous if we're being completely honest. But I just want to see: should she go away for life? Right? To be clear, jail for life. Not talking about what's the word expression? Not mental asylum. We don't have those anymore. But a mental health facility, I suppose we can say when it comes to this one. I see what we have going on here. Okay, got a good spread. Okay. I'm seeing most individuals say, yep, should go for life. A couple of outliers, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I'll tell you right now, for those of you who are not following this case, and they're kind of like, hey, AT, like, what is going on? Where are they at when it comes to this? Well, they ended a lot of the live coverage yesterday, so we're going to have to keep clicking around here. The New York Post stopped doing it. I'm going to read what we know about the trial. This is coming from NBC News here. Lindsay Clancy trial updates. Closing arguments are set to begin. First of all, closing arguments will begin today in the murder trial of Lindsay Clancy, who killed her 3 young children. It was Cora at age 5, Dawson at age 3, and Callan at 8 months. And she did this at their home before she tried to kill herself in January 2023. So it's been over 3 years now since this one has been getting spooled up. Clancy's mental health is a key issue. Her defense has argued she was experiencing postpartum psychosis and was compelled to act by a hallucinated voice when she strangled her children. We'll get back to that one in a second. The prosecution's final witness, Dr. Gregory a forensic psychologist, testified yesterday that Clancy had the capacity to appreciate right from wrong at the time of the killings. It's from the prosecution side of the house. After closing arguments, jurors will deliberate over charges of first-degree murder involving deliberate premeditation and extreme atrocity, with the option to consider lesser manslaughter charges. The 5-week trial has taken over podcasts, social media, and conversations beyond the Massachusetts courtroom. Clancy, who was 36, has also emerged as a symbol of the gaps in maternal care. Let's start right there, if you don't mind. I want to start talking about the maternal aspect of it because this has been a focal point for this entire conversation, right? And y'all saw some of the clips of those of you who have been here this week on Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday. We went through and we kind of looked at some of the clips of individuals who were, for lack of a better expression, expressing themselves in very questionable manners. It's the best way I can say it. But the question, let's start with motherhood. Before we start about anything else, I want to start right here. I think most people would agree that the family as a whole in the United States of America is absolutely butt upwards, turned around, upside down, flipped it and reversed it. It is ridiculous right now. I think most people would agree with that. And if you don't, by all means, feel free to disagree. But regardless, is it so fractured that this is going to become the new norm? Is it so bad to be a mom? And this is my question for you all here. Is it so bad for those of you who are mothers currently? So this is for the ladies in the house. For those of you who are who used to be mothers, and I say you obviously are always a mother, but used to have children living with you in the home. I'm talking about them right now. Is it so bad being a mother right now in 2026 where you can, I'm not saying you agree, but is it so bad where you can at least understand, right? Is that how bad we've gotten? Where you're like, okay, I wouldn't have personally strangled my 3 children and killed them, but like I get where she's coming from. Anybody with me on that one, right? To be clear, with yourself on that one, because I'm not in that one, but I'm just asking the ladies in the house, do you think it's that bad? Do we think that motherhood in general, the idea of getting married to a man, yes, and having children, right, and just having children and raising them, Do we think it's at the point of stress, difficulty, and turmoil where we're like, yeah, I can see this happening. I can see more of this happening. Is it still wrong? I'm not saying that you're agreeing to it. I'm just saying that you're like, yeah, it's gotten to that point. I see a couple of no's in the comment section here so far. I know the rest of the mothers are over here thinking about it. That's the first question I had when it came to this case. Like, oh my goodness, what's going on with the moms, right? I know there's some personal things going on here. Absolutely, we're going to talk about that as well. I get that, right? I know that there's uniqueness in Lindsay's situation, but just in general, I see a lot of no's up here. I'm curious because I've heard a lot of this. I've heard a lot of moms coming out. You heard the song that came out that's painting motherhood in such a derogatory, painful, just this horrible, meticulous life that no one would want to have. And I understand this is like, after effects of the feminist movement. I get that, right? The after effects of just living in 2026 in a first world society that is relatively safe. And so now we have a lot of bored citizens who are finding complaints and things that don't really exist. And I'm not saying that it's not difficult being a mother. Of course it is, right? Having children at all whatsoever can be a very tedious and difficult task. What I am saying, though, is that the way this is being presented, the way this is being painted, is that apparently almost every single mother is going through the exact same frustrations that Lindsay Clancy expressed having gone through. And so I guess my second question for the ladies in the house here, before I get to that super chat, thanks, Dave. The next question I have for the ladies is, just kind of simply put, is it normal to not just think about it? I get that, but is this normal? Is this happening? We just don't realize it. Maybe not to the point of murder, but like, maybe like throwing something, or like just like, striking your children in the heat of the moment. Not a spanking, not corrective, but just getting upset. Is it normal to be so frustrated just in your marriage, ladies, where you're coming home, Buffy the Demon Slayer, where you're coming home and all of a sudden, like, it's just so pent up that you are like, today I could do it. Is that normalized? Because it shouldn't be. And if it is, if we have all these ladies out here who are saying this is awful, this is horrible, what I don't see coming from literally anyone from the stereotypical, and I'm not saying that if you are a supporter of Lindsay Clancy, you fall in this category. I'm saying patterns are patterns, right? But is it normal for the stereotypical left, secular, atheist, liberal individuals to just hate being married? I think that's where we're at right now, right? Because I don't hear anymore a lot of people pushing like, hey, you should get married. Hey, you should find a good husband and all. You don't hear that anymore. You really don't. What you hear nowadays is go to school, have your own independent woman, get an OnlyFans, and live happily ever after. That's what you hear right now. And so I'm really asking, is this the future of child rearing in the United States of America? Because my concern is to get to that point. As much as I see the complaining outside of the courthouse, I don't ever see any solutions coming from that side. Christine Hayden, good morning to you. Our house, good morning to you as well. I don't see a lot of individuals saying, hey, we don't like the idea of nuclear families, biblical marriage, or tradition, or whatever it is. I see that. But I don't see like we should do this instead. Does anybody else kind of jive with that? Because I've not heard it. I've not heard anyone from the stereotypical left, secular, atheist individuals. I've not heard them come out and say like, hey, let's do this instead. What I hear instead is, hey, I don't want to do this. I'm not going to do this. And everyone knows we love hearing women say all over and over again what they are not going to do. But I never actually hear a solution. Anybody ever hear a solution? Anybody at all whatsoever? Are y'all kind of with me on this one? Because I'd like to hear that solution. Fine. You think that being married is awful. If I listen to your songs, I listen to your signs, I listen to your complaints, it sounds like you don't like the idea of having a husband who does the traditional husband things. You used to say, hey, he has to pay for the food, he has to have a vehicle, he's got to have a house. They don't say that anymore. They just say, I guess. I suppose I'm going to go with this guy. I suppose, right? I guess I have needs. I'll keep him around. This one's passable enough. I've never heard, and I see that no one else seems to have one down here either. I don't hear any solutions coming from that side. And so what's really happening is we're complaining about a situation, but we don't have a solution. And yet, if I ask you, what's the thing that has changed in the nature of marriage? What has changed in the nature of man and woman? It's been you. You're the one that has changed. Over the last 10, 20, 30 some odd years, a very simple question for you all in the comment section today is, if I had to just go ahead and break it down to political parties, left or right, fine, atheist or Christian, you can do that too. Which of the two sides has been the loudest, the most proactive at pushing their agenda when it comes to marriage? In other words, which one have you heard more often? I'm an independent woman. I think marriage is dumb. Traditional roles are stupid, and I'm more than just a maid. Have you been hearing that, or have you been hearing we need to get back in the house together? We should go back to a nuclear family. We have to push this on all kinds of media. Which one have you heard the most? Let's be completely honest. Let's be adults in the room right now. You're not seeing that on TV shows. You're not seeing TV shows that are constantly putting individuals together and saying, hey, you should be married. You shouldn't cheat on each other. You shouldn't get divorced. You should have a bunch of children. You're not seeing that in media. You're not seeing that on the news. You're not seeing that being glamorized. You're seeing instead, hey, you should go have multiple sexual partners. You're seeing the normalization of the polygamous lifestyle, the normalization of OnlyFans, the normalization of sexual work. You're seeing that. So I say all of this to say, if you're the ones that have been pushing for change, you've been the loudest over the past few decades. You've been the most effective as well. Let's call a spade over the last few decades. You have taken over media, you've taken over social media, and you have ostracized anyone who goes against your belief system. So if you have been the ones that have been moving the most in this arena and you don't like the way the arena looks, I'm sorry, you have to at some point in time look at yourself and say, maybe I'm the problem, right? A question that most people don't like asking themselves, but that's a question that needs to be asked. Let's get back to Lindsay Clancy for a second. So it's going to be a dynamic day because we know closing arguments are going to happen today, which means technically, the jury could come back in 5 minutes after this one's over with. Do I think they will? No, I think it's a little bit too complicated. I was not surprised that the jury basically went and got a snack out the vending machine and came back for Carmelo Anthony, because that was a pretty easy one. You don't have to even put your butt onto a chair for that one. That was pretty quick and easy. But this one might take a little bit of time to deliberate, but it may not. We have no idea. I don't know anything about the jury. I don't know anything about Massachusetts, nor do I want to, because it's on the northeast part of the country where all the people live at, right? But we have no idea. So we got to be prepared for that. So why are we talking about this one today? Why are we talking about this? Because we might have the verdict out today, and I'm sure social media is going to have things to say one way or another. I will tell you all that for those of you who like sliding through the disgusting streets known as TikTok, or also like sliding through the social media in general and like hearing people talk about stuff like this, it might be today. It might be today. Today, they might finish their closing arguments. Those don't typically take an eternity. I know that Stephanie's probably so upset that she's missing this whole conversation, right? It might take an eternity. That's fine. But sorry, it won't take an eternity for closing arguments. But then they're going to let the jury go. I would say probably after lunchtime is where we're going to be in that target-rich environment of potentially having them come back. Now, will she get sentenced today? Almost highly guaranteed to be no, right? But she might get that verdict read out today, y'all. And so let me just ask here, right? If you are on that jury, understand, like they said here in the live update, she can get a little bit of everything. All the way up, so let me rephrase, death penalty is not on the table for her right now. But we have life in prison. We have life in a mental facility is what we can call it. And we have all kinds of sentences up to that point. They could give her 1 year. They could give her 100 years. They could give her 25 without the possibility. They could give her 50 with the possibility at 25. So you all, let's do a little bit of social justice here for a little bit. And I don't mean that in the very stereotypical LGBTQIA plus way. I just mean, like, let's come together and see if you, for what you know, I'm asking every single one of you, even if you don't know about this case. This is a good social experiment because I want you to make a decision regardless. If you are on that jury, what are you coming back with? Go ahead and drop it in the comment section if you don't mind. The question once again is, if you were on the jury, what are you coming back with? You can either say guilty or not guilty. That's fine. You can say that you're hung, or you could actually say I'd come back guilty with this sentence. I want to know where y'all coming from on this one. I myself, from what I know about the conversation, and this is the real big one, I'll give you I'll give you my take on it in a second, because some of y'all are not going to agree with what I'm about to say, and that's okay, right? That's absolutely okay. My man ADHD everything. 1, appreciate you. 2, watch your language if you don't mind. We have some children in the house. We actually don't have children in here. I just don't like when people curse, and this is a biblical live. I do appreciate the name, though. ADHD everything. Might as well be in 2026, you know what I'm saying? Right. But either way, I see a lot of, I see some guilties, some guilty. Hung jury, I see one of those up there. Outstanding. Guilty. Guilty for life. Thank you. I got someone who actually put the sentence on there. They do have mental prison facilities. I'm guessing that's what you're saying. Let me see. Eric is saying mental health facility until she gets better and then put her in prison the rest of the time. That's an interesting one. I've not heard that before. Right. Let me see. Let me see. Oh, you're good, ADHD. It's okay. Let me see. Guilty, just guilty. Not guilty by insanity, just guilty. Given what I know about the case, guilty of all three counts, premeditated. Let me see. And then I got two of you who are failure to follow instructions. Okay, cool. So look, I do this exercise on purpose, right? And there's a reason for it. Because if you are someone who's scrolling through those TikTok streets, you have a lot of individuals who are asking this opinion. I see a couple more guilties in here. Death row. Wow. Okay. Right. So the reason why I asked that is because let's take a step back here. Let's get into the Bible here for a second. So I got a super chat over here from my man Dave C. Eddie, $10 super chat. Thank you for getting us started for today and for supporting the Garden Project. Says, what does the Bible say should happen to her? Great question. So, unfortunately, great question, multiple answers because we don't know, right? That's the catch. We don't know. I'm not in that courtroom. I don't have all the information. So, a couple different options here. Let's say that she did not do it. We hope that our justice system is fair. We hope that our justice system is thorough and that we're able to prove that. And so if she is innocent, then she should walk on innocence. If she is guilty, what does the Bible say? The technical answer is going to be whatever your governing authority has, right? Because every single country is different. We know that the United States of America, though founded on Christianity, fight me, it's just true. I don't care if you like it or not. Though the United States of America was founded on Christianity, the way that we enforce our laws here are very different than the way they enforce them even in Canada or in Singapore or in somewhere like Korea, for example, right? Now, does it mean that the way that we enforce them are the golden standard? Not at all whatsoever, right? Because that's based off of the authority of the country as long as that punishment doesn't go against scripture. And the stuff like the death penalty, and we can talk about this. I know some people get up pretty hype about this. They're like, no matter what, to each their own, right? But that's one of the things that was punished for back in the old times. And that word, thou shalt not kill, that word in Hebrew, connotation meaning, we'll talk about it. Don't worry, it's going to come up here in the next couple of months on the 3-year framework. And so, what does it say should happen to her? Justice is the short answer to that, right? We are doing the best that we can as a society to have a justice system that does need to be addressed, that does need to be reworked, that does need to get a lot better, a lot more efficient, a lot more thorough, and a lot more accurate. But submit to all governing authorities is what we're reading about this week, about the different governments in the Old Testament, right? For those of you who are tracking with the framework that we have, you should be going through this. It's Thursday, so y'all should be getting relatively close towards the end here. You should see the many stories that we've picked out for you all this week in the Old Testament that are talking not just about, hey, where did authority come from for us to be able to rule on these things. Okay, sorry, I froze for a second over here. Right. So where does that come from? Well, we have that in there, right? That's in the framework of the things that we're studying. We go all the way back to the initial covenant of the rainbow. We see that there is a gap that will exist with the sinful humanity. If God's not willing to absolutely squad wipe us every single time we do wrong, well, there needs to be something, right? And obviously a lot of that judgment does come from God, right? Sodom, Gomorrah, stuff like that, you understand, right? But we have to also accept that that gap is still going to exist. And so we see, historically speaking, as we continue, many times in the Old Testament, that humans, us, the people, had to sit down and had to rule judgment on issues, both civil and criminal. We started off here, for those of you who are reading with us, who went to Jethro's advice in the book of Exodus, where he quite literally sat down with Moses, y'all might have heard of him before, and said, hey, dog, stop trying to handle all the civil affairs on your own. Maybe appoint some other individuals, like different justices throughout the United States of America. Maybe give them authority to be able to hear these issues, like the different states having authority to do so. Maybe give these individuals, who should be upstanding men, maybe give them the ability to rule on some of these civil issues like we currently have in the United States of America, right? And so we continue to do, we have a couple of stories in here that we put in for the framework. We have the book of Numbers with these cities of refuge talking about the difference between murder and manslaughter, something that a lot of Christians have a hard time with. Show of hands, have you ever heard before along your walk that no matter what, in any way, shape, or form, not self-defense, not a legal penalty for a crime that has been committed, in no way, shape, or form, not for war, not for military members, You should never in any way at all whatsoever take somebody's life. Anybody ever heard that before? Show of hands, right? Anybody ever heard that? You as a Christian, never, 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 never. You are never supposed to do that at all whatsoever. Anybody show of hands ever come across that one before? Y'all got to see this hat that Jessica has on right now. Check this out real quick. Hold up. Sorry, Jessica. See that hat? That's an awesome hat, right? I love that hat. I really do. Right. I see some hands down there. I absolutely do. Right. And I've heard it before. I'll put my hand up as well. Y'all, this is why we're going through the framework the way that we are. This is why that we're reading it week by week and going through stories. That's fine if someone wants to tell you that. We have here in Numbers, why did they waste their time going over the difference between manslaughter and murder then? Right? That's why we showed that in front of you all for reasons like that. It's also, did I put that word in here for this week? I don't think I did. It's also why I put the word in the Hebrew for manslaughter and murder. Yes, it's the same word. The connotation matters. So we can study this, so we can get into this, right? That's the question that you have to deal with, right? Let me keep on going here, right? So for the rest of the framework, you have the stories in Leviticus for blasphemy, what happens in that punishment. We have in Numbers a story for rebellion, what happens back then when people push against the current political authority, right? And then we also have what happens when people take political power for their own gain, what happens when civil issues are brought up. We have all of that in the reading this week. And so if you have not started the reading this week, you are behind. How you do it is how you do it. Technically, you could read it all tomorrow or tonight if you wanted to. But make sure y'all crack into that one. Once again, for those of you who are members of the Garden Project, we're doing the 3-year biblical framework. Every single week we hit a different story or set of stories to match ideally what's going on. Link to all the stuff we're doing is in the description along with the laid out for the framework, because that's a great question that you asked there, Dave. Let me get a couple of super chats here before I keep on rambling to you all. We got Debbie the Rock 88 with a $5 super chat. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your support this morning. Says the supporters outside court are chanting thank you to her as she enters court. This murder up to birth state of mind is filled with lunatics. Look, Debbie, let's just go ahead and say the quiet part out loud. Liberal women want to kill babies. That's it, right? That is what they want to do. They want to kill the children. They will argue and fight that fact until the day they die. We saw this yesterday on the watch party that we had. There is all kinds of mental gymnastics that you have to go through to even understand the stance that these individuals have, right? And it is a lot. And even still, you're not sticking that landing. You're not getting a 10 out of 10 on that one because the gymnastics themselves don't add up. I agree with you. And here's my thing when it comes to these court cases. I got no problem with anybody going out and looking at a court case and saying, hey, I think insert blank here that someone did it or that someone didn't do it. The concern is that we're not responsible with that authority and that power of saying these things. Someone will go on social media like I am right now, like Crystal, like Wise, like so many individuals. They'll go up and they'll say, hey, I think this about this thing. Okay, that's within your rights to do so as the freedom of free speech that we have in the United States of America. But the issue is that even for the individuals who go on platforms, because you see this on TikTok, someone who just rolled out of bed, they're like, hey, I'm a woman, I'm going to support this no matter what because she's a woman too. The problem is most people are not researched on these things. Most people will make an opinion, stick to that opinion, not be open to research, not be open to critical reasoning, not be open to critical thinking, and they're stuck into that point, and it becomes their champion banner. And that's what you're seeing right here, Debbie, right? Yes, you live in a wild spot, by the way. You're seeing that. You're seeing individuals who, I'll tell you the truth, and I know a lot of people get upset when I say this, but this is just what I've experienced. Americans are bored. Bored out of their natural minds over here in the United States of America. We don't have countries knocking on the door trying to get in to take us over, at least not overtly, by the way. We can get into that too. We don't have countries hate us, absolutely, but no one's throwing missiles in our direction. Our economy, believe it or not, is relatively stable, so it's not like any given Sunday the economy is going to crash and all of a sudden we're going to be at war with each other, right? Believe it or not, you are bored in the United States of America. Most people around the entire globe don't worry about the issues we have to worry about. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's because we have so much privilege over here. It's because they have lives to live. It's because they are not bored like we are. I look outside of this courthouse and the first thought that comes to mind is, why are there no men out here at all? I mean, that's the first thought that I saw. Like, there's just nothing but a bunch of ladies out here. Are we so torn in our society that causes like this are all ladies, which means that there, by definition, should also be causes that are all men? What is happening when it comes to this? That's the first thought that I have. The second thought that I have is, wow, imagine being Lindsay Clancy. This is the same thing I said with Carmelo about all of you supporters out there that are champions of justice, that are going to be advocates for their name. You will forget about them. Give it a month, after it's no longer the hot headlines and they are in prison. Don't believe me? Go look on social media right now and see who is talking about Carmelo Anthony. And it's not even been a week. Not even been a week. They ain't talking about that boy anymore, right? That's a news cycle. He lost his appeal. They're going to do their best to kick it up to the next level. That's going to get denied too, by the way, and that probably won't even be on the front page headlines anymore. He's done. He's done, right? He's going to wind up rotting in prison, and nobody cares about it anymore. I guarantee you, same thing's going to happen with Lindsay Clancy. Let's say she comes out, she gets found guilty. Let's say they throw the book at her, okay? Right? I guarantee there's going to be a lot of screaming, a lot of emotionality that day, probably for the next few days. It's not even going to last a week, y'all. It's not even going to last a week. Watch it last for like months and someone replays this clip. It's not even going to last for a week, right? We're going to cry. We're going to be upset. We're going to get our blankie in a juice box. We're going to go to sleep, take a nap, and we're going to move on with our life, right? The concern is that they don't realize the damage they're doing by supporting in this manner, because I think that there is some truth that are underlying this situation right now, but they're not being heard because we're just screeching. And we think that for some reason, if I screech loud enough, I will be heard. I agree with you, Stephen, over here in Minneapolis. He says public praise is not helping her rehabilitation. Of course not. Of course not. Let's go back again. I'll keep using Carmelo Anthony. It's a great example. Imagine if Carmelo Anthony stabs this boy, runs, gets caught, says all the things that he says. He's in prison. And imagine if instead of Minister Dominique Alexander, yes, it's still happening. Imagine if instead of him showing up, it was someone who actually believed in the Word of God. And imagine if they sat down with him and the family and said, hey, okay, this is a horrible thing that happened. I'm sorry that everybody's in this situation. We're going to have to figure out how to navigate this. Let's do this in the name of God. Hey, look, boy, me, you, boy, straight up. Did you just do this, right? Were you actually scared? No cameras are around. Straight up. Let's tell the truth in this moment, right? Yeah, I did. Okay, here's the deal. We're going to go ahead and plead guilty. We're not going to say that it was self-defense and waste the court's time, because if we do, you could potentially face significantly longer. I need you to understand, young man, you will be in prison. Let's start getting our mind right for that right now. You're not walking away on this one, okay? But what we can do is try to make sure we keep this cool, we behave appropriately, and look, dog, you could be looking at 10 with possibility of 5, right, if we do the right thing here. And so when we go out and we have our little quote-unquote rally, and the parents of the person you stabbed showed up, instead we're going to say, hey, come up on the stage, let's have a conversation, let's showcase to the nation how we can deal with situations like this, right? Let's make sure people know how we can deal with individuals that are coming through. You can go ahead and get Cube on the way out the door, by the way, Amy. I appreciate that. I don't want them to be too distracted by their imagination. And so we want to make sure that we're doing the right things when it comes to this. And so imagine in this situation with Lindsay Clancy. Imagine if, unfortunately the situation happens, she's going to prison, and they're having this court case. Imagine if these individuals weren't outside the court case screaming and yelling. Imagine if we could actually, as adults, sit down and have a conversation about a very, very serious topic of discussion, right? Imagine if we were able to do those things. Out of curiosity, did you actually get that person? Because I want to actually address some of the stuff they have up here. I think it's a lot of fun. Amy, you didn't look up when I said it, so I'm assuming no one got that. I'm going to hit this comment real quick. My man Cube, right? First of all, it's a wild thing to come into someone else's house and say this. Imagine if you close your eyes and open them and realize it's a black dude trying to sound white. This is what I'm talking about for the United States of America. This is the sickness that we have, right? First of all, you are a shame to anybody who was black, because I don't personally think that speaking with proper grammar is something that's exclusive to white people, but lower yourself like that if you want to. I do appreciate you being here, though. Hopefully you have yourself a blessed day. Regardless, I look at the situation, I look at the individuals at the courthouse, and I guess my question is, what do you think happens? Do you think that if you're loud enough, you'll be able to convince that jury that they all of a sudden are wrong? I would love to ask people these questions, because truthfully, okay, you're out here showing support. Are you, though? Do you think that Lindsay Clancy woke up? I'm pretty sure she's in incarceration right now, in between the court cases. You think she's waking up on her hard bed? You think she's waking up with the sadness of what's going around, getting helped to her wheelchair and the rest? You think that she's just having a really rough day, but then she sees y'all outside and she's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, this is actually worth it. I'm okay. No, y'all, she's still going to jail after it's over with. You with your signs and everything is a temporary adrenaline hit to her at most, by the way. And that's at most. You don't know if she likes being on camera. A lot of you don't like being on camera. I can't get y'all to come up here on Fridays and have an evaluation. Why do you think that she'd be okay with being on camera just on jump? No, she may not like all that attention. She may be truthfully ashamed of what she is dealing with, and yet y'all are out here with your pink. I guarantee, you know it, I know it, I guarantee you got your pink stuff out there, holding up these signs and reminding this woman of the worst day of her life. That's all you're doing, right? You're just constantly reminding her that she did it. You're constantly reminding her that she's in this situation. And more so, it makes no difference. I need y'all to get this. It makes no difference. It makes no difference. If anything, you actually make it more difficult for justice to be served. You are tainting the jury pool. You're tainting what could potentially be put out there for information. You have individuals, and I never get why people do this. You run the risk of individuals making up their mind before they even get to jury selection. That's what you run the risk of doing. It's not going to make any positive difference at all whatsoever. Instead, you're going to act like a fool in the process. I know we always like to joke, like, don't you people have jobs? Why are you not working right now? Why are you not going out and doing what it is that you're supposed to be doing? This doesn't make any sense, right? I'm beyond that point of it. I truthfully am. Let me get the super chat here from Debbie, and we'll keep on sliding into it. So Debbie the Rock 88, thank you very much, ma'am, says they are making a mockery out of a serious condition that some women go through. The crazies destroyed a topic that needed attention. Yeah, let me talk about that, the mental health side of it. So here's my thing. When it comes to Lindsay Clancy, I don't know the entire situation. I'm just going to be honest with you. She's been sitting there for about 3 years now before she got a trial. I'm sure information has come out. And let me be clear on this. I don't know everything, and neither do you. Whoever you are that I'm talking to, it's usually the individuals down there that know like a little bit about it or even a lot about it, right? It's usually those individuals, those TikTok lawyers and everything else in between, right? It's usually those who are like, no, she definitely did it. Absolutely. No. I've been looking into this for a long time. I'm telling you, she did it. This happens all the time. It happened with Carmelo Anthony. It's happening with Nolan Wells. It's happening with Lindsay Clancy. It's happening with that one boy on the train in New York City, the Marine or whatever his name was. What was his name? Petty, Daniel? I don't know. Right? It happens with all of those individuals, right? We got people who sit down, they get some information, they're just like, yep, I know more than you. And then the arguing starts. Daniel Penny, thank you. Then the arguing winds up starting, right? We're not doing that here. I don't care how long you've been looking into this court case. At the end of the day, you don't know the answer. At the end of the day, I don't know the answer, right? And so I want to be really clear about that one. So if you're going to speculate, make sure you speculate with the understanding that you're not God and you don't know everything, all right? I just am seeing this all over TikTok recently, people arguing about this case, and the TikTok lawyers come out in droves. And it's always, oh no, but I did this research and you didn't, so listen to me, I must be right. We're not doing that, right? But look, in the Lindsay Clancy case, here's what I've seen, right? Y'all tell me if you think it's right or not. I'm not fully researched on it, but here's what I have seen. I've seen that there are at least 3 different parties that have to be addressed in this situation. The first one is the obvious one, Lindsay herself. Fine. My pushback on Lindsay is the idea of a temporary insanity, which is basically what we're saying. She seems sane right now. She is cognizant. She is aware. So she is of her faculties right now. And she has been of her faculties before, obviously, because she's been sane for most of her life. So we're saying that in the heat of this moment, we had whatever you want to call it, temporary insanity, psychotic snap, whatever it may be, that was temporary in that moment and it ultimately went away. I have a problem with that defense, and here's my reason why. That's not even crime of passion. Crime of passion is I'm married to, let me pick poor Debbie, sure. Debbie and I are married, right? And I come home one day. Actually, we'll flip it because Lindsay's a woman. So Debbie comes home one day. She sees AT in bed with her sister. She has a gun that is right next to her when she opens the door. In that flash of the moment, grabs gun, blows us both away. That's called a crime of passion, okay? That's not what happened here. It's not what's being claimed here. I've heard crime of passion claimed because of menstrual cycle. That's actually been successful in the United States of America, by the way. Obviously, fits of rage and everything associated with it. That's not what's happening here. She's not saying that, oh, yeah, no, I did it. I was just really, really mad or really, really sad. She's not saying that. She's saying the voices told me to do it. It's temporary insanity. How do you prove that? That is the issue that I have with it. You can get a bunch of experts up there, but unless we have a camera, which we don't, unless we have someone who is in the room who can talk through besides Lindsay, which we don't, right? How do you actually come out and prove that? That's the concern I have. That's why I don't lean on, this is just AT. That's why I don't lean on putting her away in any kind of mental facility, because how do you prove that? It opens the door more so for individuals in the future. As long as you can say that the voice has told me to do it, and as long as you can showcase a history of having complaints, right? Then you can do whatever it is you want to do, and you'll be able to go to a mental health facility. I think that sets a very bad precedent, and I think that's not something that we should lean into as a defense. So that's for the Lindsay side of the house. But we got to talk about the other two, because here's a concept that a lot of people are really struggling with online. Did you know that more than one thing can be true at once? Right? Can't be conflicting things, right? But I can say, hey, I am at a desk right now, and I am talking into a microphone. Okay, that's two things that are true at once. Pretty simple and easy. So it is possible, and I know this is really upsetting for a lot of the stereotypical left secular atheist individuals, especially for the feminists. You don't like when I say this. You get really upset when I say this, right? But Lindsay Clancy is capable of being wrong, and so are the doctors that prescribed her the medication. Both people are capable of being wrong. I know we don't like that, because that's that accountability word. I know some of y'all are screaming right now because I just said the word accountability, right? But that's just the truth, right? I'm telling you right now, two things can be wrong. And let me explain this, because I know some people are like, oh no, AT, she can't be culpable. She didn't know what they were giving them. I'm not ever going to listen to that excuse again. Not for the rest of my entire life. Because, okay, people go through stuff. They absolutely do. Show of hands right now in the comment section. Has anybody ever gone through depression, anxiety, paranoia, suicidal ideology? Anybody at any point in their life, right? Show of hands. You've ever gone through any of those things I just mentioned? I put my hand up. All the way up in the air. Absolutely, right? Anybody ever experienced those? Thank you, Jessica, for waking up finally in the booth down there. Thank you, Amy, for doing the same, right? Finally, Annie, finally, right? Absolutely. So for all of you individuals who raised your hand up there, I have a question. This is a very uncomfortable question. I'm going to let you know right now, once again, if you're a stereotypical left secular atheist individual, especially if you're a feminist, go ahead and leave right now. This question is going to really, really get underneath your skin. Simple question for you all in the comment section. Let's put our big girl and big boy pants on. Who is ultimately responsible for your mental health? It's my only question. Who is ultimately responsible for your mental health? At the end of the day, who is responsible for it? Your options, by the way, include your family, your doctor, your friends, your boss, your manager, whoever it may be, right? Who is ultimately responsible for your mental health, okay? Okay, I see we're getting the right answer down here in the comment section. Absolutely, you are. So overall then, who's responsible for your overall health, for your well-being, for your livelihood? Who is responsible for that one then? If you're responsible for your mental health, who's responsible for your overall health, right? The answer is the exact same, by the way. It's still you. So I say this because most people are going to say, it's a common sense question. It's kind of like, are you the kind of person who likes drama? No one says yes to that question unless they're messy, right? So most people are like, yeah, no, it's me. I'm responsible for it. So then why are we trying to use that as an excuse then for this case? Ooh, suddenly people are saying they're not responsible for their mental health because she was getting prescribed all kinds of medicines, and that is true. She was on way too many medications. I don't have to even be in healthcare anymore. It's been a long time, and I still know that that's entirely too many medications. And I hear them saying that. I hear them saying, well, no, she's not at fault because she's expressed these concerns before, and she did, right? She's on all of these medications, right, that she's taking. It's not her fault. She told her husband these things. It's not her fault. I respectfully disagree. Truthfully, right? Whenever I get prescribed medication, I do this weird thing called reading about it. I ask questions about the medication. I ask myself, should I be taking this with other things? I also don't believe in leaning on medication for everything. For you people who live in the cities, I'm talking directly to you, right? You don't need to always pop a pill in your mouth in order to do these things, right? More so, you do realize, to OG's two-tones point down here, if she in any way articulates that she's had thoughts about hurting children, and then she hurts her children, you realize that's premeditation, right? You understand by the definition of the word that's premeditation, even if it's a concern, all right? If I tell you that I'm thinking about hurting myself and you do absolutely nothing and then I hurt myself, Is it on me? Well, yeah, I'm the one that did it. Well, hold up a minute, AT. You told Amy, Jessica, and Nanny every single day for the past couple of months that you were thinking about hurting yourself. And then you did it. That's their fault, not yours. That's the exact same energy here, y'all. It truthfully is. It doesn't matter what the relationship is to me. Once again, she's still up here. Debbie and I are married, fine, right? And I tell her I'm thinking about hurting myself, and she tries calling somebody, or she does nothing, and I hurt myself anyways. It's still not Debbie's fault. I am the one that did it. When I took our son over here to go get his first round of vaccinations, right? I had a book that I was sent to me by Sac West Coast. Thank you, ma'am. I know you don't watch my show anymore, but I love you anyways, right? And it went through every single vaccine that was on there, and I read them. And guess what? He got none of those vaccinations because I read them. So I don't like the excuse of, well, she's completely without blame because she was prescribed all these things, because unfortunately that begs the question. If I have 3 children, and again, Debbie, I'm just picking on you today, and if I'm married to Debbie and we have 3 children, and I go to Debbie, I'm like, Debbie, I'm concerned that I might harm our children. And let's say Debbie does nothing. We'll get to him in a second. Let's say Debbie does nothing. AT, I can only speak for myself. If I meant it, if I'm like, oh my goodness, I might genuinely hurt our children, I'm leaving. I'm going to go spend some time with my parents. I'm going to remove myself from my children because I don't want to hurt my children. Absolutely. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I would expect you to do. That's what I would expect any adult to do. Oh my goodness, you're thinking about hurting this child? Maybe we move. Maybe we bounce for a little bit. Maybe we get the help that we need. Check ourselves in. Maybe we don't take no for an answer, right? Maybe we're like, no, you can't leave me here with these children. Nope, I'm going with you, right? Maybe that's what we do. I don't see personal, dang, it's that word again. Somebody's going to start screaming and spontaneously combust when I say this. Accountability. Maybe it's that personal accountability that we have to focus on. But that being said, are the doctors wrong? Yes, absolutely. If you notice that you're getting all these medications to somebody and they're not getting better and they're complaining about the same thing, I understand that most patients are nightmares to work with. Most patients do not follow the instructions given by their doctors. Most patients are going to do whatever it is they want to do, and they're going to lie about the conditions going on. I get that, right? But like, you really should not be doing this. And so I think that's something that does need to be discussed. Are we suing the doctors? I have no idea. Are they criminally culpable? No. That's one thing I will easily say no to. They should be sued on the civil side. But if every single doctor that prescribed something that they shouldn't have prescribed, that had a counteracting effect because another doctor prescribed something, if every single one of those individuals is criminally culpable, we will have no more doctors anymore in the United States of America. So that standard needs to get a little bit higher. Absolutely. 2 things can be true at once. But let's go ahead and talk about the husband. Let's talk about the husband, because this is the one that's coming up the most, right? Ladies are out there, they're like, hey, nope, that's not fair. What about the husband? Y'all remember the song, right? It's just so hard to be a wife. You have to do all these things, and it's just so challenging. So what about the husband? People are even blaming the husband, saying that he actually did it, staged it, threw her out the window, and then somehow made it seem like he was never there the entire time. I know y'all have heard this one because that is coming out all the time. It's the husband's fault. It's the husband's fault. It's the husband's fault. Okay. Is the husband, let me ask y'all this question, yes or no? Is the husband at blame in any way, shape, or form at all whatsoever? Yes or no, right? I know I'm not saying it's all his blame. I'm not saying that it's none of his blame. I'm asking y'all, even if 1%, I just want to see where y'all are at today. Is he culpable in any way, shape, or form? Just yes or no, right? For the husband. Yes or no? Let's see what y'all say down there real quick over here, right? Amy had to go check her phone. Outstanding, right? So let me see here. Give me 1 second here, dealing with the usual drama. Okay, let me see what you got down here. I got a couple of yeses over here. Yeah, right. Most people are saying yes down here, right? I see some yeses. Should have gotten her help. Okay, I see some yeses. Yeah. Look, obviously, I think the answer to this question is obviously yes, right? Anytime where you have a spouse who's like going through a lot of stuff and saying that they're trying to deal with some things, and you just leave her with your children, like that's not a good thing. That's not okay. right? It truthfully isn't. So I think that, yeah, absolutely, right? I think, yes, there is some blame to go around here. But to Carla Bugg's point, I'm going to go and put it on the screen because I like it, right? Blame, yes. Criminally responsible, no, right? And so this is what it comes down to. I don't think that he's criminally responsible based off of what I've seen. I want to be clear about that part, right? From what I've seen is she has expressed thoughts of hurting her children. He dips and goes to, I don't know, Blockbuster. And while he's gone, she does the deed, comes back, finds it. Okay. Criminal responsibility, no. Because in order for that to be criminal, she has to have said, hey, I'm not thinking about doing this. While you are gone, I am going to do this. I am going to take the exercise band. I'm going to do this. I'm letting you know I am going to do this. That is very different than I'm having thoughts of doing something, right? You cannot be arrested for thoughts of doing something. It's a difference between I think it would be cool to rob a bank versus I'm planning to rob a bank. One of those is a really stupid thought to ever express out loud. The other of which is a plan that is premeditation for a crime that is starting the process of committing a crime in the planning phases. Two very different things. That being said, oh yeah, there's definitely some blame going around here, right? For it could be a lot of different things. It could be a whole lot of different things, right? We don't know if this has been going. I'm sure someone has done the research, right? But if you're married to somebody and they're going through some mental health stuff, I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the guy as well. It's again, you're responsible for your own mental health, but like, dang, like you were cool with her having all these pills. I know women are hard to deal with. Trust me, right? But like you knew she was on all this medication. We did nothing, right? We did nothing to help, right? You knew she was having some issues being a wife, right? Which is most women in the United States of America nowadays, right? Like you couldn't like take over for like a week or two, send her away to go on a vacation with her family or something like that, right? I think there's a lot that could have been done in this situation. I think that we as a society are not taught anymore how to navigate appropriate conflict. That is something that I know for a fact we are not taught to do. And unfortunately, we're starting to see the after effects of that. The inability to deal with conflict, the inability to deal with each other. We see that at play with this situation. And unfortunately, I agree with ADHD. There's 4 lives that are lost in this situation. This woman's not going to see the light of day. That one I can all but guarantee you. I would be shocked to my core if that jury came back and said that she is not guilty and she walks on this one. I don't want to see the United States of America after that. I really don't. Same thing I say with all these other court cases. If Carmelo would have gotten a chance to walk, that's a bad precedent that's being set in the United States of America. It's a bad precedent that would be set if this woman walks. For the ladies that are out there, like, yo, no matter what, I think she's innocent. I think she should walk free. You are in for a very rude awakening. This woman is not walking free. Where she goes is going to be the question of concern. And the worst part about it is, they're not going to really learn anything from this. They're not going to learn from this. Do you think they're going to update medical protocol when it comes to giving out medication in a nation where most people are trying to find some way, shape, or form to put a pill in their mouths? Of course not. They're not going to do anything when it comes to this because the doctors have insurance that covers them because they don't care. Doctors don't care about you. Unless you were in a small town, the doctor actually knows your name. They do not care about you. So they're going to continue moving on. We're not going to learn anything as a nation because of this, most likely, right? We didn't learn anything in the past court cases that have happened, everything having to do with a woman or otherwise. We don't ever learn anything. And that's my biggest concern when it comes to this entire dynamic, this entire debacle that we have found ourselves in. This is my grandest concern, that this will be nothing more than another episode in the United States of America season. That's it, right? It's just going to be another news cycle, another media circus, another affair that we can watch on television to entertain ourselves. And it's why I call presidential election cycles season finales, because that's all that this is. This has become entertainment at this point in time. Again, let's go back. Who was the young lady? Casey Anthony. That sounds right. Was she the young lady back in the day that also harmed her children? Right. We have individuals who've done this in the past before. I don't remember the Casey Anthony story, so I'm not on one side or the other. But I'm saying this has happened before. How many people do you think are writing Casey Anthony? How many people do you think are actually getting down like that? Okay, no, fine. How about we go back to, again, Carmelo Anthony? How many people do you think are writing Carmelo Anthony? How many people do you think are talking about Carmelo Anthony at the table? How many people are going to remember this man a year from now, right? There are people who are forgetting about Charlie Kirk already. It's been less than a year, right? How many people are going to be forgetting about this young woman, regardless of what winds up happening? They're not champions of her. I wish you could hear me say this. I wish, Lindsay, wherever you are at, I wish you could hear me say this. They are not your advocates. They do not care about you. They do not love you. They're going to throw money your way, and they already have. Didn't she raise almost $1 million? I think it was what it was for this. Cool. You raised money that's going to mean nothing to you while you are in prison. You can't leave it for your children for very obvious and dark reasons. So, okay, cool. You got your hit up front. Give it a year. That's it. This is the rest of this woman's life. She's most likely going to be going away for a long period of time, potentially the rest of her life. They might give her a couple of decades. I have no idea. Massachusetts is incredibly liberal as a state, so they may give her like a day in prison. I have no idea. But in reality, she's probably going to be going away for a little period of time. It's not going to be just a court case that's the highlight of her career. She'll be sitting in that prison, rotting in her wheelchair, wondering every single day where she went wrong. And she's going to wind up leaving that prison. You know how many people are going to be waiting for her? Nobody. Maybe one person to drive her wherever she has to go. Do you think that she's going to have these same women that are outside the court right now? Do you think these same women are going to be paying very close attention to the Lindsay Clancy in the prison system if she even gets the opportunity to come out early? You think they're going to be waiting outside for her? You think they're going to have signs for her saying, yay, we made it, yes we can? You think they're going to have that? They're going to have cookies and cupcakes and muffins available for her, all the music playing and all the gay going on? You think they're going to have all that when she gets out of prison? No. You think they're going to have a house waiting for her, all that money that you all put in her direction? You think she's still going to have that? Right? You think she's going to be able to walk out and live a normal life and be celebrated in the streets? Because that's the way they're acting. They're acting like whenever they see Lindsay Clancy again sliding down Boston, that they're going to see her, there's going to be a parade spontaneously on site for her because she is now amongst the public. They're not going to remember her. They're not going to think about her. This is temporary. This is something fun to do on a Wednesday and a Thursday morning/afternoon. It's something to take a picture at, to post on social media, checking in. I'm here at this location, y'all. Celebrate me. Look how much of a little social justice warrior I am. That's all that this is. Pageantry at its finest. You're not pushing for any laws to change. You think anybody right now, since the Carmelo situation, they're like, you know what? I'm going to be a lawyer and I'm going to start writing up this bill to be introduced at the state level in front of the state Senate so that we can get this passed in the state of Texas to stop this from ever happening again. They're not doing that. One, because most people don't know how to do that. We're not educated in this country anymore. And two, they don't care about you. They don't actually care. They care about winning. They care about showing up to the football game to cheer for their team. It's the exact same energy. Hey, y'all. Hey, I heard that UT is they're gonna be playing at home this year, and they have Texas A&M coming in. Y'all want to go down there a little bit early, right? Get set up, do a little bit of tailgating, right? Throw the football around, maybe get a couple of brewskis, take a couple of pictures. When they open it up, we're gonna get in the line. We're gonna get a good seat because we got our tickets ahead of advance. You can do that for a football game, and we're gonna sit there and we're gonna watch the entire game, start to finish. We're gonna remember everything that happens. We're gonna talk about it afterwards on the ride home. It's gonna be so much fun, and I can post all these pictures online, and people can see me at the game. Okay. Hey, y'all, we're going to go down to the courthouse for the Lindsay Clancy trial. We're going to get there really, really early, just kind of set up, get a couple of signs together, a couple of tables, scream some things, have some music, dance a little bit, right? We're going to have a good time with that. And once they open it up, we're going to get in line and we're going to try and get inside the actual courtroom. And we're going to sit down the entire time. We're going to remember everything. We're going to just kind of take it all in. And then we're going to write it all down. And after it's over, we're going to post about it. We're going to tell everybody about what it was like at the Lindsay Clancy trial, what it was like inside of it. We're going to let everybody know it's the same energy as going to a sporting game. This is an event for them, y'all. It really is. Hey, like, I want to go to Disney World today, Six Flags. Let's go to the courthouse. It's the same thing. And people are taking this and trying to build up platforms off of this. They're trying to say, I'm the new advocate for social justice, NAACP and all that kind of mess, right? Everyone is coming out of the woodworks. If it even hits your area that you can get money off of this, please understand, they're going to show up. Every women advocacy group is showing up in full force. If a black person you all know winds up dying on television or getting accused of killing somebody who's not black, you know that the NAACP going to be there. They're going to be there first, actually. They're going to be there to take advantage of the opportunity. And the only people that suffer are the individuals that are actually impacted by this situation. I feel bad. I feel bad for a lot of individuals for it. I feel bad for the husband, right? How you going to wake up one day with 3 children and a wife and then go to sleep with no children and no wife? That's a bad day. That's a hard day. I don't care how involved he may or may not be. That is a hard day. And I know that we're not allowed to have any sympathy for men in society anymore. I know that that is the new golden standard that we have. I don't care. That's a bad day, and I feel bad for him. I truthfully do. I feel bad for the family members, the grandparents, if there are any, the aunts and the uncles, if there are any, who had an opportunity to have these three little beautiful babies in their lives, to be able to enjoy their presence being around them, to be able to hug them, to hold them, to watch them grow, gone instantaneously. They quite literally woke up to a phone call or were just going about their business, fat, dumb, and happy, just enjoying life, and they got a phone call saying it's all gone. It's all gone just like that. And I do feel bad for Lindsay Clancy. I truthfully do. Do I believe that she was going through a period of psychosis when she did it? No, because I know how long it takes to choke somebody out. Even if you're using an exercise band, I know how long it takes for brain damage to set in from a blood choke, which is the most effective choke, much more so than oxygen. Assuming that she actually did it that way, and assuming that's how they wound up expiring, that's about 1 minute minimum for total brain damage for every single child. I have a hard time believing that psychosis took you from one child killing them to the other child killing them to the third child and still killing them. I have a hard time with that one, but I still feel bad for her. I truthfully do, because I believe that salvation is available for everybody, as the kingdom of heaven is for those who turn away, and she's going to have a lot of time to think about it. Have a lot of time to think about it. So we as Christians, how do we approach this one? I'm going to leave y'all on this point. We're going to do a general prayer, and then I'm going to continue going into this nightmare of a day that I have in front of me. How do we approach this as believers, right? Because this is the whole reason why we're here in the morning time frame, is how do we, as believers in the gospel of Jesus Christ, how do we deal with something like Lindsay Clancy? How do we deal with this news? Am I going to say, well, you know what, if you believe in something and if you are an advocate for it, you should just keep it to yourself? I'm not going to necessarily say that. What I am going to say is the same thing I say to people who are independents, right? Y'all know the ones, right? Are you a conservative Democrat? No. I'm an independent. I'm third party, right? Like, yeah, you peasants, you all have your arguments. I'm by myself. Okay, cool. So if you're independent, you can be independent if you're actually doing something to be independent. Your vote gets thrown away. It is completely useless. And so if you're going to say I'm independent and I'm better than you because I'm in the middle, you need to be campaigning. If not, you're wasting your time. You know that your vote means nothing. You know you're not going to make a difference. You're just doing this to pat yourself on the back. Don't break an arm while you're doing it. So kind of same thing with this situation. If you're someone who's a believer in the gospel of Jesus Christ and you genuinely believe that there's other extenuating circumstances that are here, please don't be that person that just complains about it. That's uselessness. All it's doing is creating dissension, and we shouldn't be doing that. Do something about it. Seriously. Figure it out. Go today, spend some time, instead of looking at social media, TikTok, and being entertained, look up how do you introduce a bill in the state of Massachusetts. Figure out if that's something you should do. And when you realize you don't live in Massachusetts and you can't really affect it, maybe we find something in your own local community to be a champion of that you can make a difference on. While a lot of you are upset about Lindsay Clancy and all that she's doing, there is a battered woman's shelter probably within an hour and a half of where you live at. You can actually make a difference in someone's life if you focus on that instead. That is what we should take away from this. I'm not saying don't be aware of what's happening in the nation. Of course not. That's why I do this on the show. I'm not saying that you can't even be involved in these conversations. I'm saying you need to put it into perspective. Everything that we do, we have to make sure that we put it into perspective. And that perspective is relatively simple. Is it against or with the Bible? That's the first thing. We should go past that one. What is the stance that Christ would want me to have? And if he was sitting right next to me and I was talking about my stance, is he going to be sitting doing one of these? Or is he going to be doing one of these? That's what we have to ask ourselves. And then let's go from being just believers to believers in action. What are we going to do about it? And if you accept there's a situation that you can't do anything about, stop saying, I'm raising awareness by having conversations about this. No, you're not. They're aware. But you know what that word means? You're just doing this to be drug in to the conversation, to get all the sensationalism from the conversation. I'd encourage you not to do that, truthfully. It is entertaining. It truthfully is. And if you're just sitting down, you're having a hard day, and that's how you want to entertain yourself, who am I to judge, right? But I encourage you, find something different to fill in those gaps. Figure out how you can actually be useful to this situation. Y'all, the court case is ending today. They're going to go, they're going to sit down, they're going to deliberate about it. I'm going to do a quick video about AI and try to figure out how AI argues this one. And I'm going to tell you the truth, I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on, right? Unless it comes up and it's really, really interesting and you all need to know about it, I'm probably not going to bring it up again, right? The only last time you'll hear me talk about Carmelo Anthony will be when I talk about Minister Dominic Alexander. Some of these things, y'all, we have to accept the things that we cannot change. We have to accept that. Don't be that person that's dressing up in pink and rainbow colors and getting their weird little sign dress, dressing up half naked to go scream, because that's just an emotional outburst. That's it. You're no different than a toddler who's upset about something and just really needs to express themselves. Has your toddler ever thrown a tantrum and you've given them what they wanted? Has your toddler, I hope not, has your toddler ever just been like, no, give it to me now, Mom, you're stupid, you're dumb, give it to me? Have you ever been like, yeah, no, okay, cool, it's yours, right? Oh, thank you, child, right, for talking about this in this way. I appreciate that. You've never in your life done that, and if you've had, you need to read a parenting book. Of course not. So don't be that adult toddler. Don't be that individual that's going out there and getting so unbelievably pressed. Good morning to you, Carrie Frank. Tell your husband we said hello. Right? Get so pressed about this because y'all, there's people screaming at. Anybody come across this yet? Anybody come across someone screaming at somebody else online about Lindsay, about this case at all whatsoever? Anybody come across people who are just like, oh no, you're a bigot, you're a horrible person, you should be ashamed of yourself? Anybody come across that yet? Right? I'm seeing the way people talk to each other in the comment section or whatever it may be. Right? Right. Sorry, this made me laugh. This one really did. I'm sorry. It said my hairline is way too behind the world. My brother in Christ, my hairline is, like I always tell everybody, executing a tactical retreat away from our eyebrows. I appreciate that observing-ness, right? Keep on blessed, being blessed, right? We see people attacking others when it comes to this, right? Why are we doing that? How do we get to this point in society that I don't know you, I've never met you, I've never been in the same room as you, online doesn't count, that's not real. We haven't broken bread together before. I don't even know your real name. You could be lying to me. I couldn't pick you out of a lineup if I had you and 4 other brothers right next to you that looked similar to you. I know nothing about you. So I'm going to go ahead and call you stupid, an idiot, a moron, and all kinds of names I'm not going to repeat on here because you don't agree with me on this subject that, objectively speaking, unless I'm a lawyer in the case, a judge, or one of the jury members, or I've been in that court case every single day, I don't even know everything that's happening in the case. Why would I sit here and just scream about you? That part makes no sense to me. I've never understood that before, a day in my life, how we can get grown adults, only by number, by the way, at this point in time, who can hop into any social media space, any online space, around a bunch of individuals who I guarantee you are both strangers and also your fellow countrymen. And just as soon as they say, I agree, I disagree, there's people that will yell at you for not knowing about this case. I'm so serious, right? Like, how are you not following this? This is, as y'all saw a couple days ago, the most important court case in our lifetime, right? And they will call you all kinds of names for not following the same things that they follow. Good morning to you, Tabitha. For not doing the things that they want you to do, for not being plugged in the way that they are plugged in. And trust me, when this, anybody ever come across that? I just want to see anybody show of hands come across somebody who is upset that someone else is not paying attention to the same thing they're paying attention to. Doesn't have to be Lindsay Clancy, just in general, right? Anybody ever come across that? I see all 3 of y'all in the booth down there. Go ahead and throw it in the comment section so they know I'm not talking to myself over here, right? Throw it hands, right? You come across, I know a lot of you have come across this before. It's like, oh my gosh, you don't know what happened in the Nolan Wells case? Aren't you black, right? You should be paying attention to this. Matter of fact, you should be mad. How are you not mad about this right now? Why are you just so calm about this? Why are you not upset, you monster? How can you be so calm when these things are happening in our society right now? How can you be okay with this, right? A lot of hands on this one. It drives me insane whenever people do this because my response, by the way, when someone's like, oh my gosh, you're not following Lindsay Clancy? How could you? You monster, AT. You're supposed to be someone who knows about stuff. You're supposed to be plugged into this, so you don't care about anything, huh? Because you don't follow this? My response is, hey, do you know how many children were kidnapped in the last 30-day period in the United States of America? How are you not following that? These children are being kidnapped. How dare you? You're following this one woman who actually killed her children. We're trying to save them over here. You don't pay attention to this? You don't know the names of the children who were snatched away on their way back home? You don't know the names of the children who are being used for sex trafficking purposes? You monster. You see how stupid that sounds? By the way, that's real. Children get snatched up all the time. Pay attention. Keep your eyes open, right? That's a real thing. I don't understand. We don't know how to be emotionally mature when it comes to most of these situations in the United States of America. And that's why I don't typically get into them as much. I really try not to, because not that I don't want to, not that I can't. It's because I'm going to wind up hopping online and talking to someone who has the emotional maturity of an 11-year-old, who has the body of a 40-year-old, and they're actually 21 years old. Sometimes it's not really a fruitful conversation. And so that's my last piece I'll leave with you all. I know it's a little bit short today. We got some stuff we're dealing with over here on the household side. Some of y'all are aware of that. Your prayers are greatly appreciated. It's a tough one today, no questions asked. Y'all please uplift me in prayer if you don't mind as we try to navigate some things over here. And hopefully this has been a conversation you all have enjoyed. Tomorrow we have 2 individuals going through the evaluation. I'm pretty sure one of them has forgotten, which is Dylan. So if y'all come across Dylan, let him know that he's going to be bright and shiny tomorrow. If not, we're going to be highly upset with him. and we will be diving into the evaluation and review of what we are reading in the Bible this week. As a reminder for those of you who are behind, you can find everything we're reading this week in the description of this video below. We are going into the justice system. We're going into justice as a whole when it comes to humanity and what it says in the Bible, and so I do hope that you all take the time to read through that. We are continuing to step forward every single day when it comes to the app. We had a great conversation yesterday in the office hours. Once again, for those of you who are serving in the Garden Project, office hours are 7 to 8 Eastern Standard Time. Come in there, say hello. For those individuals who were there yesterday, we are throwing your name into the bucket to potentially win yourself an apron and a pie baking dish this Friday as well. So I will see you all tomorrow. I don't know if I'll be able to do ARP. We just kind of have to adjust and see what's going on in the world of life. But regardless, I will see you all tomorrow at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the morning for the Garden Project Radio. I will close you all out with Proverbs chapter 8, verse 1. But before I do, let's go into prayer if you do not mind. I want to send you all off into prayer for the rest of the day, if you don't mind as well. So if you can safely do so wherever you're at, please close your eyes, bow your heads, and join your brothers and sisters across the nation in prayer this morning. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this blessed morning, Father, and I thank you for the individuals who are here with us in the conversation. Father, I ask that you have your eyes over the nation of the United States today as we deal with the closing arguments and the potential verdict for the Lindsay Clancy trial. Father, wisdom is so desperately needed in this nation, as is the fruit of the Spirit, as is knowledge. I ask that it is abundantly made clear to people in this nation that these are available to us, that the kingdom of heaven is available to those who would turn away from their sin, repent, and accept the salvation of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Father, I ask that you have mercy on this nation. I ask that you be there for the members in this live today, for their families and for their walk, for those who are going through pain, turmoil, suffering, that they can hold on, Father, that you remind them that they are not alone and that they are willing to lean on their brothers and sisters in Christ to be able to get through these experiences. And for those you are blessing, Father, I thank you for blessing them so tremendously. May humility guide them, that they don't allow these blessings to become a moment of selfishness, that they decide to think that this is all because of their own station. Father, I ask that you protect everyone here, and I thank you for the Garden Project, that it continues to grow and that we can truly seek to incite revival within the United States of America. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. All God's people say amen and amen. Well, y'all, it's that time for me to slide on up out of here. I will be back tomorrow. Yes, I heard that Tim Curry passed away. I hope that his family continues to stay grounded and blessed in this season. I did hear about Nepal as well. Y'all, please keep that country in your prayers as they go through their own issues over there with the disaster that just occurred. And hopefully you all continue to have a blessed day. I will see some of you at office hours. I'll see the rest of you tomorrow. Proverbs chapter 8, verse 1, does not wisdom cry out? Does not understanding raise her voice? I've been your host, AT, and we are the Garden Project. See you tomorrow.
He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty, where the night is kind and blessed. Under his wings I find my rest, covered by feathers of peace. No terror by night, no arrow by day, only the quiet of his release. He is my refuge, my fortress true, my God in whom I trust. Angels are watching the hours through, till morning light is till